YouTube, what is happening? Really wanted to touch on something cool today in the dating world, and that is if you haven't dated in a long time, where the hell do you begin or start? So I'm actually starting to run into this with more and more clients that have been single for maybe years, and in a lot of cases that's actually by choice. Some people are just really independent, and then they were hurt by somebody like super special in their life, and they kind of said, for a couple years, I am just not gonna date because that one person I put a lot of effort into, they did this, so I am, gonna take a couple years off from dating. And now that they've been through that and maybe more into that relationship, now they're kind of coming to me wondering, well, where the heck do I start? And one really cool thing, it's definitely an emotion or feeling that really surprises me, is I'm from a small town. Whether you want to know that about me or not, hear me out. And correct me, I'm sure once in a while my classmates that I graduated with actually watch this. So I'll let them correct me if I'm wrong, but I think my graduating class was maybe 42 people. At most it was 62, but I'm pretty sure it was like 42 or 48, somewhere in there. Sorry, I don't know often. But I always just, because when you grow up in a small town, you just always kind of have this feeling of like, you see the same people every day walking their dog. When you're in high school, you see the same people in the same classes. And even when you work in a small town, you see the same, like let's say you work at a convenience store, you see the same people like getting gas or coming in for the same kind of crap every day, every other day, once a week, whatever the interval, right? So it almost gives you this feeling of like the world isn't very big, like they're just, even though like consciously you know that there's 7 billion people in the world, or whatever the heck the number is now, 6 billion, I don't know, Google it. You consciously know that, but subconsciously you just always feel like you're in this small tribe, and you're trapped by this small town. And then me, as the same person that's from that mentality, I'll like go to an event, a concert, a vacation or whatever, even a shopping mall, and there's like thousands of people around me, and it's like, man, the world just seems way bigger when you kind of like picture and see lots and lots of people around you. So number one, I would say, if you're just thinking about getting back into the dating scene and you haven't interacted like that in a long time, number one, I would say, calm down, don't worry. Even if you're from a small town, there are millions of people out there. There's millions of people who are the opposite sex, or, whatever you want in terms of a partner. There's thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people out there that you can interact with. And in today's day and age, like, I know it sounds really simple, layman, whatever, but the internet literally gives you, massive ability to interact with people that could be, miles away from you. Or what's funny about that is you could start interacting with somebody, let's say you're from a small town, you can start interacting with somebody that's like 2 towns over, they're only a 20-minute drive, you've never met them before, maybe like friends of friends, and they turn out to be really awesome. So as easy it is to get into like a negative mindset of like, well, I'm just in a small town and there's nobody here and all the dating prospects stink or are lame or whatever, on the other side of that coin, you can also have the attitude of like, you know what, if I put in a little bit of effort, there are people in a neighboring town very close to me maybe, and you can find the love of your life over there, which actually, funny enough, is what happened to me. I met my wife in person, which for a couple reasons, I really like to meet in person, and because you can do a lot of vetting, you can see what you're getting rather than the online world, but that's a whole nother tangent, or maybe a story for another day. So number one, please, if you're getting back into the dating scene and you don't know where to begin, number one, I would say, take comfort in the fact that there are millions of people in this world, and even though you consciously realize it, try to start thinking of it that way and subconsciously realize it. Number two, I would say, as you start to get into the dating scene, prepare yourself for rejection. And what I mean by that is taking some imperfect action, which one of my sales marketing mentors out there kind of talks about that a lot, is taking imperfect action. You know, just like this, you don't need to be the expert virtuoso guitar player to play some cool guitar in a cool band. You don't have to be the best in the world, but you can still sound pretty cool, pretty good. And that would be an analogy I would make to dating. You know, if you're just starting, you have no idea where to start, you know, get on, maybe 2 dating websites. And as you go out into the world and interact with things, whether it's the grocery store, whether it's, picking up your coffee from a coffee shop on the way to work or whatever, don't just like put your head down and, go and get your coffee and then run right out of there. You want to actually start to look around and kind of take stock of what's going on around you, notice more things, so that you have the ability that if there is somebody there that's kind of worth hitting on or maybe getting to know so that they can become an awesome dating prospect, your mind is going to be like open enough to notice them. And that is something I found with people that either, maybe they were in a long-term relationship, then they've been single for a while, and now they're starting to get into it, or whatever the situation. If you haven't dated in a while, you're probably just in this mode of like, you go to work, you come home, you do this, and that's it. Where you want to start to open up the senses and like look around, and when you're out interacting personally, you can see the dating prospects around you. Because the single people are out there, and you would hope that they're kind of subconsciously thinking the same thing, like, hey, I'm single, I kind of hope I get hit on by somebody that's cute today. And that's where it, sort of begins. One point I did make earlier, though, is with imperfect action, there's gonna come some rejection. When I was like mid-20s and hitting like dating apps hard, maybe a little too hard, there was definitely, I would send out a lot of messages that didn't get replies, even though, I might have been the hottest thing since sliced bread, or I might have been pretty okay compared to like my counterparts out there, or my competition, if you will. And that's fine. Like, I'm here to tell you, like, that's okay. And I did meet like a couple really cool women in those dating apps. One of them I'm still kind of friends with. Another one, it was a long-term relationship for a couple years. And so there are cool people that can be met that way. Do I really like it? No, because I'm partial because I met my wife in person. But just again, the dating apps give you kind of an avenue to start meeting people, to start interacting, especially, again, the whole point of the video, if you haven't interacted in a while when it comes to dating. So, but yeah, definitely be prepared for some rejection, some awkward messages. And one thing, especially with the online dating, that I found out the hard way, is a lot of time people will be very different in person than they will be online. And I know you're gonna say, well, duh, but hear me out. I'm gonna go a little deeper on that. And what I mean there is, I'm not even talking about appearance, which, yeah, obviously people do that too, which is super lame. But when it comes to more the appearance, when it comes to more meeting online versus in person, a lot of time I would find that I would be messaging somebody online and it would go like really smooth and well online, but then I would meet them in person and it just didn't flow that well. And just the opposite, which is kind of weird, sometimes wouldn't message very well online, but for some reason you kind of both agreed to meet up in person, and in person we had a lot more to talk about. Just because the image that people make in their mind of like an online presence, when you meet them in person, they can be completely different. And I'm sure, that's happened to me before, where I'm like friends on Facebook with somebody, like a friend of a friend, and it's cool. And then I actually meet them in person at a party, and they're just a lot different than I imagined. Maybe it's an attitude, maybe it's the way that they come across, the way that they speak, maybe it's a political view, you just never know, right? But things in real life are often much, much different than they are from the online world in your perception. And that's going to absolutely be true. So be prepared for that. Even if it's not rejection, be prepared for, even if the messaging is going really good online, you meet up and they just not, it just doesn't flow because they're missing something or whatever. That is okay. The imperfect action still gets you out there, still doing it. And it is important. I don't like playing the numbers game with dating. I like quality over quantity, but it does at least help you get out there and meeting people and at least starting to learn the lingo of what to do, what not to do when it comes to your dating thing. So my name is Nate. I'm a dating coach. I really center the practice on helping men get into long-term happy relationships. You can reach me at pattersoncoachingwny.com. There you can get my direct contact info. Reach out to me if you're thinking about maybe becoming a one-on-one client. I would love to help you if that's the case. And just really, I wake up to help get you results and make your life awesome, because my ultimate goal is I want more men in the world to kind of have what I have, which I wake up next to an awesome wife. She supports me, I support her. Like, literally, she just went through COVID, and I'm usually Mr. I wear the pants. She's a little more passive, I'm more dominant or whatever. But you know what? I was kind of waiting on her hand and foot because COVID was hitting her really bad, and that's just like maybe a picture of what beautiful marriage is that it's not always perfect, but you do the stuff you got to do for each other because our relationship and her is more important necessarily than what I want. So, but I'm happy. I wake up most days really happy, very aligned, and I want that for more of you out there. So that's why I make these videos. That's why I design one-on-one coaching programs for people, and I want to design one for you if you need the help. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.